Breaking news from deathmetal.org. It is with a heavy heart that the DMU staff mourned the loss of one of their own. Earlier today, we were alerted to the sad news that Brock Dorsey, our fearless leader and editor, had passed on. Brock was killed in a horrific skydiving accident over the Hamptons during a luxurious vacation with several other venture capitalists. His parachute failed to open, but Brock lives on in our hearts and memories. His friends felt that it should be noted that Brock confessed all of his sins of blowing the fuck out of soy-filled journalists and bullying overweight metal kids just before jumping. Brock will be succeeded at deathmetal.org by a familiar face as editor, and the new era of the most storied website on the internet will be led by our war hero of the death metal underground, Dreitfeld Cyber War, Nicholas Vadius. Of course, Brock might just be faking his death in classic prankster Brock Dorsey fashion, so he can concentrate on writing for America.org and other right-wing political websites and continue his fight to restore Western civilization. In fact, it wouldn't be a surprise to find Brock writing for Death Metal Underground again soon, under the same name, with no explanation as to why an article eulogizing his non-existent death was published. It could even be possible that a 6-month term as editor was the plan all along. In other news, President Eisenhower has announced the withdrawal of U.S. forces from North Korea after the disastrous attempt to fight the Chinese without nuking them like General MacArthur fucking told him to.
So yeah, big news in the world of Brett Stevens. Brock Dorsey is no longer going to be editing deathmetal.org. He's probably not actually dead, but on the off chance that he is...
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of Brock Dorsey, and the fact that they've included in his list of best articles that smear job he did on Inquisition, where he circulated the false rumor originating from Metal Sucks that the main guy behind Inquisition was a pedophile. Yeah, fuck you, guy. I'm glad you're gone. Bye-bye. But anyways, at least that means we're going to get to hear a little bit more from Brett Stevens, which is always a good thing. I've enjoyed his takes on stuff. In fact, he just posted a new article entitled Taco Bell Steak Nachos Box. So according to Mr. Stevens, we live in a modern wasteland crafted as a disposable society. Our civilization consists of business and government, with culture and organic activities nearly entirely excluded, as those who wander through this outland of foreign and alien virtues and behaviors. Staying on top of fast food is essential. Normally, when I write here about Taco Bell, it is in praise of one of their recent acts of wizardry. This company will, as in the movie Demolition Man, someday dominate all other restaurants simply because they are intelligent. They deliver good value to a range of customers. Most of all, they do so with relatively few ingredients. Your average Taco Bell makes 25 menu items out of tortillas, taco shells, lettuce, ground beef, you can really call that beef, Brett, steak, chicken, refried beans, tomatoes, guacamole, 2 types of cheese, and rice. This creative menu splits to accommodate different groups. The healthy-minded buy the Power Bowls, the classic Tex-Mex fans go for the rice and burritos, and the middle-of-the-road fast food audience like their quesadillas, Mexican pizzas, and nachos. Recently, Taco Bell added another item to their nacho menu, which consists of at least 3 items at any time. The Steak Nachos box promises to be a meaty surprise. Unfortunately, it is instead the type of gustatory nightmare that Taco Bell's critics claim its food usually is.
Oh, shit!
Actually, I don't know, I thought that was a little bit funny, the idea of doing a very verbose and dryly academic review of a Taco Bell menu item is kind of subversive in its own way. So hats off to you, Brett Stevens, for the comeback. Haven't seen you in a while, guy, so glad to have you back writing for the website that helped get me into my larger political awakening way back when I was a teenager. So anyways, this week we're going to talk about a melodic death metal band from Sweden called Sacrilege. Now, melodic death metal is a rather unfairly maligned subgenre of metal. A lot of people say that it's just power metal with death metal vocals over it, but bands like Sacrilege, what they do is take the consonant melodic explorations of the best heavy metal bands, but instead of having everything just follow a melodic vocal and provide backing chords, instead they got the guy screaming, so that unshackles the guitars to take over as the lead melodic voice, and you get a lot of classical music influence in there, a lot of use of leitmotifs, particularly with Sacrilege. This is Daniel Svensson, the current, or maybe he's former, I don't know. He's the drummer for In Flames after Bjorn Gullat hopped over to guitars right around the time that In Flames started to suck dicks. But that's not Daniel Svensson's fault. But anyways, his pre-In Flames band, Sacrilege, did some really good shit back in the mid-90s with their 2 albums that they put out. So let's have a listen to a song off the first album to get an idea of the kind of classical music-inspired complexity that you hear in Sacrilege. So this one's called Moaning Idiot Heart. No, wait, it's called Without Delight, my bad. But anyways, this is the main motif. They're playing it tremolo pick now, but watch how they take the same melody and vary the cadence up. So that same melody, but they sort of twisted it to fit into a more percussive mode and added a little extra tail to the end of it. And then this is the counterpoint riff to all of that. I would say where Sacrilege excels the most is in their ingenious use of counterpoint in a melodic death metal context. The interesting thing about this album is that you heard one vocalist there, but he's only around for the first 3 songs, and then Daniel Svensson takes over. He's already writing all the songs, playing the guitar and the drums, but then he's like, fuck it, kicks the vocalist out after 3 songs on the album and starts singing himself. And would you believe it, he actually has way better vocals, so I don't know why he didn't do the whole thing, but whatever. Cool thing about him is the contrast between some very deep growls and some high-pitched shrieking. Let's take a listen to that. This one's called Crying Statues of Paleness and Ice, and yes, I actually did get the song title right this time, okay, geez. So one of the other things that makes Sacrilege really great is how they take the kind of Thin Lizzy and Iron Maiden style of harmonizing lead guitar, but they bring it in more complex directions. Because again, the guitars are no longer shackled to the vocals as a lead melodic instrument, so they can get a lot more complex and interesting. So we are coming to these vocals. Here comes the shrieky ones. Very hateful. And then the growls. So wisely, they decided to have Daniel Svensson take over both. He does all the vocals on the second album, which was a good idea. Unfortunately, he doesn't do the growls on that second one as much, which sucks because that contrast is interesting, but I would still say their second album is a little bit better. The riff writing is a little bit more solid, and overall the songs pop out a little bit more. They're not really pop music, but they're a little bit more catchy and memorable. So let's take a listen to some of the counterpoint they were doing on that second album that was called the Fifth Season. And this song is called Sweet Moment of Triumph. So what you're hearing now is what Brett Stevens likes to call a melodic staircase riff. So going up and down the scales. And here comes the counterpoint to it. Some good shit right there. Brett Stevens coined that term in his review of the second Amorphous album, but I think it fits here even better. So, great little counterpoint riff going on there. A lot of notes in it, but they don't feel unnecessary. There's sort of a folky feel with it, but it's not too cheesy or anything. So lastly, we have my favorite Sacrilege song. It's called Feel the Cold, and it is one of the better examples of them using the Wagnerian concept of the leitmotif. So a repeated melody that crops up in different parts of the song, but when it comes up in different circumstances, it kind of takes on a different character. They marry that idea to the Baroque idea of variation and counterpoint in a very interesting way, as you're about to find out. Nice thrash metal drum beat there, Mr. Svensson. This is one of my big getting pumped up at the gym songs. but also it's thoughtful enough that you can smoke your pipe and listen to it at home and analyze the complexities. Here comes the main leitmotif of which I speak. So that obviously rocks pretty hard. And now we're back into a little bit more of a black metal flavor. And it's a restatement of themes from earlier in the song. But we're going to get into a slightly more sinister sounding riff here that in a way is sort of an inversion of the melody in the main leitmotif, which you'll be able to hear in comparison when the leitmotif comes back. And then here's that Baroque little variation counterpoint riff to that I like a lot. And now we're back into the main leitmotif. So depending on the stuff that's going on around it, that melody has a slightly different feel to it. So very Wagnerian. But yeah, Sacrilege. Great band. They did those 2 albums. Then they broke up when Svensson joined In Flames. And Flames kind of tanked, or rather they got very popular with some very poppy metal that I didn't particularly care for compared to their earlier material. But there were rumors around 2007 that they were going to do another new album, which I really looked forward to. But much like their Swedish compatriots Dawn, nothing has been forthcoming on that front, and it's been years and years, so I've kind of given up hope. Whatever. I like those 2 albums a lot. You can get them on a combo CD. It's called like Sacrilege Records, the Black Sun Collection or something like that. But yeah, it's usually available pretty cheap, and it's some great music. Also, I think I kept it under 15 minutes this time, so hopefully we don't have to fuck up our audio quality or pay extra hosting fees this time around. Talk to you guys later.